The letterbox. There are days and memories in everybody's lifetime that remain with us forever. The day of the piano lesson was one. Kate and Anne went to their music lesson as usual. However, before they left home, their mother cautioned them about crossing the road. "Remember to come straight home," she said, "and don't talk to strangers," she added, as she always did just before they left. What their mother didn't know was that in recent times the girls had been running errands for the music teacher once their lesson was over. This involved crossing the main road not once but twice. There was a sense of adventure about those days, but also reward, as the music teacher gave sixpence for each errand completed. That particular day, the girls were to post a letter. They would cross the main road when they left the teacher's house. This was not a problem, as the music teacher always watched to see they'd arrive safely on the other side. The last thing she said was, "Please make sure the letter is posted safely, as it's very important." It was an Easter card to a friend who lived far away. The girls were impressed. Imagine being trusted with such responsibility. Once they'd crossed the road, they continued along the footpath, crossing the main road again after a few minutes. Now there was a sense of urgency as they were on strictly forbidden territory. They decided to use the sixpence to buy a present for their younger sister. They would buy one of the chocolate Easter bunnies that were on sale in their local shop. It didn't even occur to them how they would explain how this came about. Childhood innocence. Arriving at the letterbox, Anne posted the letter in the shiny green box. Kate said, "Miss Carey said to check the letter was posted properly." "All right," said Anne, sticking her left hand down into the letterbox, right up to above her elbow. "Yep, it's there all right," she said. Then disaster struck. "My hand is stuck. No, really, my hand is stuck," she repeated, as Kate burst out laughing, thinking it was another one of the jokes that Anne was so good at playing. Her smile quickly faded as she looked at Anne's pale face, and her arm now becoming red and bruised from the attempts to move it, or better still pull it out. Minutes passed without success. The hand was firmly wedged. They called for help from a lady passing by, to be greeted with, "I can't stop now. I'm on my way to the doctor." At this rate, they'd both be going to the doctors themselves. A boy passed by, then stopped, came back, and after much thought decided a bar of soap might help to free Anne's arm. He left to get some, and the girls stood there, tired and very worried now. A passing bus, packed with people and their Easter shopping, waited across the road for the traffic lights to change to green. It continued on its journey up the road towards the girls' home. The silence between the girls made the time much longer. Just then, Kate had a brainwave. "I know," she said excitedly, hopping up and down in front of Anne. "We can call the fire brigade." "What good will that do?" said Anne, thinking water won't help me, or will it? "They can just cut off your hand," said Kate, "and we can go straight home. We could leave the present for another day." Anne thought it was a good idea first. She then decided, after careful consideration, that if she arrived home without her arm, her mother would surely know they'd been doing something they shouldn't. That would certainly mean trouble. She gave her hand a final tug and almost cried with delight when it became unwedged from the opening in the letterbox. But freedom had its price. Just above her elbow were some very nasty bruises, and the underneath section of her arm was red and raw from the attempts to pull it free. Kate said, "You'll have to keep it covered from Mom. At least the fire brigade didn't have to cut it off." Anne said nothing. For once Kate had the last word. This was unusual, as it showed how upset they both were. The ache in her arm was just too much, and she wanted to be at home. They ran along the footpath once they'd crossed the main road and passed the boy bringing the soap that was to free Anne's arm. "It's okay," Kate said. "We're all right now, but thank you all the same." They arrived at their front door and went in home after carefully pulling Anne's sleeve down on her hand as far as possible. "How did you get on?" Mum called. "Oh, fine," they both said together, looking at each other with raised eyebrows as they lied. They both knew from the nuns in school that lies would send them both to hell, but they'd have to deal with that later. Now was not the time. As well as that, they'd spoken to strangers. Things were not working out well at all that day. Anne intermittently complained to Kate about her sore arm over the next few days. They were beginning to feel a bit braver as the days passed, and their big secret was only known to themselves. But on Easter Sunday, disaster struck. It was a bright sunny day, and Anne wore her long-sleeved t-shirt. "Are you sure you're not getting a cold?" Mum asked. "Oh no, I'm fine, thanks," Anne answered, thinking she really would be going to hell for a very long time. As they were walking back from the church, a neighbour stopped to talk to their mum. The girls waited patiently, as this lady loved to have a good long chat whenever they met. Suddenly, turning to Kate, she asked, "Was your sister's hand stuck in the letterbox the other day?" She'd been sitting on the bus, stopped at the traffic lights, as Anne's hand was actually stuck in the letterbox. Horrified, they both stared at the ground. Hell was very tempting at that moment. The neighbour hurried off as she'd spied another lady she had to meet. Mum said nothing, and waited, and waited, and waited. We, stuttered Kate. A light flickered in Mum's eyes, and she pulled up Anne's sleeve to reveal the bruises that by now were green and blue. There was no way out after that. The full story had to be told. The girls were actually relieved, as they didn't have to worry about being found out anymore. Mum didn't say too much, at least at that time anyway. The following week, the girls told their music teacher that they could not run errands for her anymore. She was disappointed. They didn't mind because Anne still had her arm, and that what was really mattered. Years passed and the teacher retired. Currency changed and the sixpence was no longer in existence. Each time Anne passes that letterbox, she remembers the day. As for the sixpence, Kate still has it at home. Definitely a lucky coin.